what you want, when you want it, where you want it. This is The Mesh.
Welcome to the Entrepreneur Exchange on the Mesh Podcast Network, a monthly conversation about startups and small business with ideas, tools, and advice to operate your business more effectively. On today's show, mission statements. Love them, hate them, do you even need them? We'll touch on a recent article about do's and don'ts and try to figure out whether the Entrepreneur Exchange has a mission other than helping you kill 30 minutes of your commute. We're going to talk about marketing today with our guest Marcus Boles, the founder of Customized Minds. We're going to learn about his business and talk about how he helps startups go about doing their marketing. Finally, we'll wind up with our Small Business of the Month feature, where we'll highlight some interesting businesses that you should be checking out. Greetings. My name is Jeff Neuville. I'm your co-host, and I'm the director of the Small Business Center at Catawba Valley Community College in Hickory, North Carolina. I'm joined by my co-host, Gary Muller. Gary's the dean of the School of Business, Industry, and Technology at Catawba Valley Community College here in Hickory. Gary, how you doing today?
Jeff, I'm doing great. Enjoying this relatively cool summer weather.
Well, we're here in late June, and we've been having fabulous 80-degree, not too humid weather. I'm sure it's going to change.
I am sure it's going to change. We'll probably have our 8 weeks of no rain and 90-plus weather, but right now it's been pretty good for the first 6 weeks of the summer.
And Gary, you're back from a successful week in Louisville, Kentucky, with the college's Skills USA teams, and you brought home some awards, and we actually had 2 entrepreneurship teams that finished in the top 10 of their respective categories. So
yes, we're really excited about it. I think I might highlight them in our Small Business of the Month coming up later in this podcast.
Well, that will keep people.
I think that's a good teaser to hear about the exciting things that they did in Louisville.
Well, that's very good. Wanted to talk to you a little bit about mission statements because personally, I've never been a big fan of mission statements. Sometimes they make me bang my head against the wall and put me to sleep. But I saw an article in Inc. magazine recently. I was doing some catching up on my reading, and I was going through the April edition of Inc. magazine, and there was a nice little article with tips on how to write an effective mission statement, and talking about how it can be meaningful both internally to an organization as well as something that organizations' customers can embrace. And they made some suggestions like making it personal, the importance of sticking to it even when it's hard. There was an example about how one company had to get rid of some customers because when they really thought about their mission and what they were trying to accomplish, there were certain lines of business that really didn't make sense to them.
Didn't fit with their business.
They had to do a little bit of soul searching to make sure that they were walking the talk. And it also provided some suggestions on how to write a good mission statement. One and that we'll share with our listeners. Ask why, not what. Why are we in business, not what we sell? And they talk about, if we're selling widgets, we don't just say, we make the best widgets, but they talk about how our widgets might be used to create wonderful bridges, to bridge the gap between...
That's why we're in business, like you said.
Right.
What the product's really going to help us solve a problem or help us do something better than we've done it before. You got me at a good time because... quite honestly, I feel a little bit like you do, at least in the past, talking about mission statements and vision statements, that sometimes people think it's a little hokey and they come up with these things that are soft or, squishy, flowery, but they really don't help you drive your business. But if you do a good job working on the vision and mission statement, it can be a useful tool. I do believe that. And I just came through a retreat where we were talking about mission statements and vision statements and actually core values that tie into it. And so you hit me where we had a very good discussion from a group of people who had the same kind of opinions. But they really had didn't even know what the mission statement of the organization they were involved in.
Now that's the meeting that you were thanking me for getting you out of because we had a podcast today.
Actually, that's true.
Okay, I just want to check.
Yes.
So, another suggestion or recommendation: keep your mission statement short. And I really like the example they used there. They said at one point Pepsi's mission statement was simply "Beat Coke."
There you go.
And people would come to work every day and, hey, that focuses you. What do we have to do today to beat Coke? So keep it short. And the last suggestion was...
Understandable.
And understandable, yeah. The last suggestion they had was, if you can't do it right, don't do it. In that if you come up with a mission statement, which really isn't reflective of your organization or your company, the people that work in the company are going to know it. And it can have a negative effect if they think perhaps you're being hypocritical or don't understand the organization. And so if you really can't come up with a good one, don't do it. So
I think that makes sense.
So, this leads us all to, what should the mission statement for the Entrepreneur Exchange podcast be?
Oh, my gosh. We're going to have another retreat.
Well, no, not the retreat, not the greater retreat. Because I respectfully understand that the community college retreats probably have limitations in terms of adult beverages and whatnot. And
you're drinking your Coke, or I'm drinking Coke and you're drinking coffee. That's where it stops.
I am right now, but if you want me to go to another retreat, I might need an adult beverage if you really want the creative juices to flow.
Well, I'll talk about that since we're going to have one in a couple of weeks.
Well, that's my suggestion.
That's how we're going to attract you to come,
perhaps,
and be more engaged than you would otherwise.
Anyway, we'll throw that out to our many listeners. If you have an idea for what our mission statement should be, we appreciate your feedback. We'll work on that too and report back.
Okay, that's very good.
But email us at eexchange@themesh.tv with your suggestions for the Entrepreneur Exchange mission statement. So we've got a guest with us today. Marcus Boles, who is the CEO and founder of Customized Minds, and he's got his fingers in a lot of pots, including working with startups, business development, professional speaking, e-commerce, and probably some other things. Marcus, how are you doing today?
I am doing good, gentlemen. I'm excited to be on with you all today, and looking forward to adding value to the listeners, and even adding value to what you guys were talking about, that value and that mission statement, and how our marketing can be important when talking about that. So I'm doing good.
Well, we appreciate you spending some time with us today. Gary and I are at the point where whenever we have a guest that can provide any bit of value, we're gonna embrace him. So
we're very excited about bringing value.
We're looking for value wherever we can get it, Marcus. So thank you. Tell us a little bit about your background and tell us about your business, Customized Minds.
Yeah, so you touched on it a little bit. It sounds like we're in a lot of pots, and we are, but it's very streamlined. It's very focused, and we have a great team surrounding us, and I'll touch on that here in a second. But you may wonder how I got to where I'm at. Why so much in such a little time, and kind of what's the focus. And so it really deals with my background and really my upbringing. I'm originally from Kansas City, Missouri. I spent 18 years of my life there from firstborn all the way up until it was time for me to go off to college. But along that way, I was actually blessed to be a third generation entrepreneur. So with that being said, my mom and my dad, they were both entrepreneurs, as well as my grandfather. He was an entrepreneur, and I don't know if my great-grandparents were, but I have a hint or a hunch that they were. So really that's kind of what led me to get to the business that I'm at today. But just like how most of my generation was the millennial generation, my parents were a big believer in education. That's your key, your ticket to success, quote unquote. So they implemented that into me just as much as they did entrepreneurship. So starting in 2008, before I actually started my company, Customized Minds, I went on a 6-year quest to acquire 5 degrees, and ending that in 2014. And those degrees consisted of information technology, marketing, supply chain, and business. And I was able to basically develop specialties in sales, recruiting, marketing, which we'll talk about today, financial services, and real estate. And it all kind of, again, seems a little bit, different. But the way that, I approach life and what I learned from my parents and grandparents is that, life is really a game. And I talk about this in one of my keynote presentations that I do, Speak Life 365. It's, if you look at life at a game, or if you look at anything that you do as a game, we can all relate because we've all played games before, is that those games have a set of instructions and have a set of rules to follow in order to, achieve whatever the end goal or the results of the game is. And so by doing that, I look at life, I looked at my education, I even look at my business as the same, and that also explains to why it seems like we're in so many different things. But at the same time, what we're actually doing is leveraging previous experiences, previous endeavors that we've had, allowing us to move into new industries or create joint ventures or partnerships in order to continue to grow our business. And again, I took that same approach to my education. I took that same approach to the areas that, I became a subject matter expert in. So that's a little bit about me in a nutshell, my upbringing. All of that rolls up into 25 years of entrepreneurship exposure, 11 of those years being in business, 9 of those years being in IT, and then an additional 9 years in professional speaking and training. So again, that's me. Now, what led me to start Customized Minds is, as you could probably tell.
And Marcus, I'll just say one thing. I'll just say is that we're beating the bushes for students on quest to get 5 degrees here at the community college. So if you've got any friends, we get a little commission on that sort of stuff. So send them our way, would you?
Man, I'm a big believer in it, and I definitely will. Just tell them, hey, look at the curriculum, look at what it takes to, achieve whatever degree, and I guarantee you, you'll find that overlap. And honestly, that's all that I did. And there were some times I was taking 21 hours for a semester, but in the long run, it was like, I'm already taking a class, I might as well double apply it. So that's honestly what happened.
Well, tell us something about Customized Minds.
Yeah, so Customized Minds, it's a marketing holding firm, and we focus on joint ventures and business project management. So really what that is, as you hinted on, we have 3 primary divisions, one being in business development, another being in e-commerce, and then the last one being in digital education. And so really what that really says for Customized Minds, it just holds everything together. I studied, business and looked at the larger corporations, and honestly, that is the business model that a lot of them follow. So they'll start in one industry, and I pretty much started in the business development industry, coaching and consulting. But as the organization grows, they'll acquire, companies, expanding them into new industries, or they'll acquire new opportunities or do joint ventures that ultimately expand the company's portfolio. Walmart or Amazon or any of the big box players you'll look at, and they started off maybe in the grocery industry, but they moved over into the supply chain with all of the logistics when shipping their packages, and that's the same philosophy that I follow. So it's been a great, experience. It's been a challenging experience at some times, but the number one thing that we have in our organization is people. People are what make everything happen. If you, focus on your people, all the bottom line, the results, all those good things will come. And so that's a little bit about Customized Minds, how we're set up, and I may share some tidbits from the sub companies as we go throughout the conversation today.
Well, and that's sounds very ambitious, and congratulations on the success that you've had so far. I mean, it sounds like some of the work that you're doing in business development, and I suspect other areas, you're working with relatively new businesses, and they're trying to get established. So from the marketing perspective, how do you approach marketing with new businesses, and what might be some tips out there for some of the folks listening to the podcast?
Absolutely. And honestly, in what we do in that business development space, that's honestly the number one thing that we're asked. So we do work with a lot of brand new startups, so those that have not even, gotten their business name yet, all the way to those that are, pretty much kind of at the end of the line of the startup phase and ready to go into launch. And we also work with established businesses that, maybe have been around 3 or 4 or 5 years, but looking, of course, to grow to a mid-sized company or a large organization. But one of the main things that we're asked, and most entrepreneurs are aware of this, is marketing. And as time has gone on, marketing has become just as important as sales, because your marketing is what ultimately is going to probably be the number one contributor to your sales, whether that be marketing directly to new customers, marketing directly to previous customers, trying to make them return customers and get them to repeat buy. So that's a lot of what we do in that business development space. So to answer your question, how does a new business go about approaching marketing? Well, there's a couple things that you want to do and what you want to look at. First and foremost, you want to make sure you understand your industry, and you understand some of your competitors, some of your, what I like to call closer competitors. So if you are a company that has 3 employees, you may want to try to look at some of the marketing strategies that another company that has 3 to 5 employees is doing. But then you also want to kind of look at maybe more of your distant competitors, someone that's in your industry that has, hundreds of employees or, thousands of customers, and see some of the things that they're doing. So what you're able to do, you're able to condense down, okay, now what works best for us? Kind of going back to what you guys were talking about, your mission and vision. What is going to work best for us? What makes the most sense? And what do we genuinely feel the type of people that we're trying to attract into our business and ultimately drive sales will connect with them? Because you have to do it that way, because now today is not that you don't have enough marketing resources or tools to help you achieve your goal. In my opinion, you honestly have too many. There's companies that are starting up every single day that are telling you, hey, do our product, do our service, do our system, and we'll increase your sales by 1,000%. Well, that's hundreds of companies, mission and vision. So how do you, cut it down to the top 5 to 7 that you're going to implement? And it goes back to, number 1, understanding your industry. Number 2, looking at your competitors and seeing what they're doing. And number 3, pulling out those top 5 or 7 of what makes the most sense for your organization and what you're trying to do. And that's how we teach people to approach marketing as a new business and even as an existing business as well.
Well, I think the focusing aspect becomes very, very important, because I'm sure you work with folks, as Gary and I do, who, when they get started, they're very excited and they want to do. They have to get a website up, and they want to get it. They need to get a Twitter account, and they want to get a Facebook account. And by the way, what about Pinterest? And what about Instagram? And what about this? And what about that? When it comes to helping new businesses focus and prioritize, what advice do you give to them? And that many new businesses have limited resources and can't afford to do everything at once, and probably they shouldn't be doing everything at once, and that if they try to do too much, they'll probably not do anything particularly well. How do you get folks focused and help them do some prioritization? I think that's a word.
Yeah, it is. So a couple approaches that we take to that. So, when we're doing our business development, we're not, an in-house shop that's going to take on, doing your marketing, doing, the actual work for you. We focus on educating you in an aspect, in the business owners and the team, exposing you to experts who can manage those services for you, exposing you to applications or systems that can work for your business. So that's really our specialty. But the approach that we take to getting you focused is, again, first you got to look at your resource limitation, time as well as dollars, because a lot of people forget the time piece, because social media, in a sense, it's free. You do have paid marketing campaigns and things like that you can take advantage of, but also just the managing factor of all of the social media that's available to you is a cost as well, because someone has to be managing that content. Someone has to create that content. Someone has to engage with the people who are liking the page, or who are sending you inbox messages, or who are retweeting or reposting, whatever you're putting out there. So you got to also look at that aspect. And when we sit down and talk to business owners, that's something that I see in their eyes that light up, because they don't think of it that way. It's like, oh, well, yeah, it is costing me time, because that time that you or someone on your team is managing that is preventing them, or, they're allocated to that task, and they can't go out and sell. They can't go out and do, new product development, or any of the other tasks that go along with making your business successful. So when you look at that marketing aspect, that just as much as the money that you spend on your resources and on your systems helping you, that time must be allocated as well. So we help them first get that hurdle. When we get them there, we say, okay, here are some ways to outsource some of this managerial type work when it comes to your marketing. Systems as well as admins who specialize in, whether it be social media marketing, whether it be, ad marketing, where you're posting ads on the search engines and things along those lines. So that's really how we prioritize it. First, getting their mind to wrap around that time is also costing you. Then exposing them to, okay, so I can leverage my time the best. Okay, what systems or what outsourced admin activities are available to me? And then, what is that ultimately going to cost me, and how do I implement them based on the financial resources that I have?
Well, and I think the time consideration is very, very critical, in that people do look at the social media aspect, and they rub their hands together and say, oh, advertising's it's cheap to market these days, and in terms of using social media platforms, yes, but in terms of using them intelligently and allocating the appropriate amount of time to using, there is a cost to that. So that's pretty important.
Absolutely. There's a whole mechanism, and that's why we took the approach of introducing our clients to those that specialize in these type of areas, these admins or these resources, these freelancers, honestly, because you look out there, you just go on Pinterest or any other, or Google it, they'll show you for each social site the peak times for customers. And those peak times can mean different things depending on what you're trying to achieve. So if you're a shopping organization, you probably want to be posting your ads on the peak time for Facebook. But if you are, let's say, in personal development, that peak time of posting ads on Facebook may not be as sequential to you, because you can have a video, 3 to 5 minute video, and it still be effective at the off-peak hours of someone who maybe is at work at 2-3 o'clock and just kind of scrolling through their timeline. So definitely get connected with some resources that can understand those metrics. Your job as a business owner, the most important thing is to be informed. From there, just like any other organization, kind of hire your subject matter experts to kind of run those tasks for you. And there's different ways to go about that as well.
Hi, I'm Alan.
I'm Chris.
And we're the co-hosts of Foot Candle Films, a movie review and film discussion show here on themesh.tv.
Each episode, we talk about some new movies, cover some film news, and have some recommendations.
And trust us, we're just as likely to talk about the latest Jim Jarmusch film as we are the newest Transformers installment.
Hold on, don't get too crazy.
Well, okay, maybe not that bad. But you can find our show and all our episodes on themesh.tv. Plus, you can subscribe to get new episodes delivered right to your computer or mobile device.
We'll see you in the ticket line.
And we've been talking more about how you go about working with other companies. When you look at your own company, Customized Minds, and the things that you're doing, what have you found to be the most successful marketing tools, and how do you balance social media marketing versus more traditional type marketing?
So that's a great question, and I'm a big believer of not preaching anything that we don't practice. Now, I say that to limitation because each business, each organization, has its own unique dynamics, and so there's not a magic pill that fits all. So some of the things that we do in, just say for instance, our e-commerce space with customized shopping, we don't do with our business development division, CM Investments. It just doesn't make sense. So it kind of really goes back to looking at what I said earlier, your industry, looking at your competitors, looking at what's available to you, and then what makes sense for where you're at today and what you're trying to achieve. And we rarely do marketing overall for Customized Minds because it's really just the glue. It's just really the business entity that holds everything together. So you'll see a lot of the time we're doing marketing in the individual subtracts or sub companies. But the things that we do, we have a complete marketing mix. Again, we teach people, and I took this approach that, you don't want to have all your marketing relying, let's just say, on traditional marketing, such as going to networking events. Now, early on in my career, I was at a lot of networking events. I had thousands of business cards, and I think at some point, depending on the business model and the industry that you're in, it's important to have that baseline. That helped really build a lot of our initial email marketing campaigns. So, of course, that's another component that we have to our marketing strategy. And, of course, we have social media marketing. Now, social media marketing has, whether you believe it or not, multiple components of it. Video marketing is available to be done on Facebook, to be done on Twitter, and that's a component of social media marketing. A lot of people overlook this aspect is inboxing. Having inbox conversations on LinkedIn or on Facebook or on Twitter, that's a form of you actually marketing and bringing someone closer to a sales conversion for your organization, and that's something that we do as well. For our e-commerce, we do search engine optimization, so SEO. Since it's shopping, people are Googling or typing in, where to shop or where to find this and that. That's really more important for our e-commerce than it may be for our business development or for our digital education. So I'm throwing a couple more out there. So we do SEM, so search engine marketing. So that's where you see on Google and you see the paid ads at the top versus, when you're on the screen, and then you see just kind of the regular things that come up. Again, for some businesses, it makes sense to do that versus others. So those are some of the things that we do, but it goes back again to what I shared earlier. You got to look at your industry, understand it. So do some use cases, do some studying, do some anonymous surveys on your customers and on your industry to get you a good baseline. The worst thing you can do is to go at this thing blind without any type of baseline. Once you have that, you're able to, again, look at your competitors, see what's working for them. In doing that, you will see the unique opportunity that you can position yourself to disrupt your market. So studying your competitors is very important when it comes to your marketing, and then you look at what's available to you and you implement what makes the most sense.
Well, I think that's the key. I've been listening and all the things that you have thrown out, and Jeff's been going back and forth with you. The key is matching what you're trying to do with certain strategies, not trying to do all these things, because you can't be all things to all people, but something you got to make sure that it's going to reach your market or the people that you're trying to do. Because you have limited resources, so you got to get the biggest bang for the buck. And so you look at all the different opportunities, and as you've been saying, you tie it to your competitors, tie it to your market to see what's going to have the biggest impact on getting people to come to you.
So, Marcus, we appreciate all the input you've given us. Let me throw one more thing at you. You've come from a family of entrepreneurs. You've been doing starting businesses, operating businesses. As far as lessons that you've learned or mistakes that you've seen out there that you might be able to help some listeners avoid. Anything come to mind as far as that goes?
I would say, a couple of things. I'll do marketing on something that one of the things, the strategies that I've learned when starting businesses, and then I'll just kind of do more of a high level of kind of being an entrepreneur and how that relates to life. One thing that I learned when starting businesses and the marketing approach is that you're not going to win every single time. And what you honestly have to do is you say, okay, there's 100% of this population that I'm going after. Having the expectation that you are going to get 100% of it is almost, in my opinion, in my experience, is setting yourself up for failure. Now, I know that philosophy of like, we can win all the time and we can strive to 100%. That philosophy works for some people and maybe a good number of people. But I like to take the approach, okay, be realistic. 100% of the population is not going to do business with you, whether it be something that you completely cannot control. You know what? I don't like the fact that your business starts with a C. It brings bad memories to my mind from my childhood. You cannot control that. So if you say, okay, of this 100% population, we want to go after 50% of it. If we go after, in our minds, 50% of that 100 and we achieve 25% of it, well, guess what? You're now at a 50% ratio of what you initially started with versus only being at a 25% ratio if you had initially started going after the entire population. When I got that strategy and when I implemented that in my personal businesses and the business that I've started that we've invested in, it changed all the dynamics of it because, number one, our people were able to get excited because they were closer versus feeling further away from the initial goal. And it just boosts morale. When we were talking to other investors, we were able to get bigger investment dollars because we were more realistic. It just changed a lot of things. And that's, a marketing and even just kind of overall business strategy that I would leave. But, be realistic. What is the percentage of the total pie that you really think you can get? And as you move towards that realistic number, you'll be in great shape. The kind of other, life lesson that I'll share to, as far as the biggest mistakes to avoid as a listener that's listening in, as an entrepreneur, whether it be a seasoned entrepreneur, serial entrepreneur, or a new entrepreneur, is that you got to fail. And failure is the predecessor to success. And that's not even just really, an entrepreneurship tip. That is a life tip. Our society and, really just as we grew up, our minds moved from this notation that it was essentially bad to fail. It's bad to make a mistake. It's bad to get bruised. It's bad to not fully achieve what it was you initially set out to do. I'll say that it's bad if you give up. It's bad if you don't learn. It's bad if you dwell on it. It's bad if you don't allow it to help you catapult up to the next step. Not that it's bad that it's failure. Not because you didn't achieve it fully. You ran into some things that you did not know, but so many people beat themselves up over things that they had no way of knowing but experiencing them. You can read all you want on the internet, and it helps, but sometimes that actual physical touch, that experience, that heartbreak or that joy, that success, you have to go through that in order, to make it in life or in business. So that would be kind of one of the biggest mistakes that I would leave that, to avoid as an entrepreneur. It's okay to fail, but learn from your failures, learn from them quickly, and you have to fail because it's the predecessor to success.
I think that's a pretty good life lesson, and I know that we always tell folks that it's okay to fail, and you may well fail, but you just need to learn from it. And if you make mistakes, that's okay. Just don't make the same mistake over and over. That's a problem. But anyway, well, Marcus, we very much appreciate you sharing your experience on marketing and telling us about the work that you're doing with Customized Minds here today. Well, we always like to end our podcast by giving a little shout out to small businesses that we've come across in our travels and whatnot. And Marcus, do you have a small business that you'd like to share with us today?
Yeah, I came across this small business, and there's some great people working in this organization, and they're growing tremendously. It's a company, they're actually set up like us. The company that holds everything together is called DWJ Holdings, based out of Las Vegas, Nevada. And they specialize in three spaces: real estate, insurance, and financial services. And if you think about that, it's a very strategic and smart play in my eyes, because if you're working with someone in real estate, if you have an insurance business, of course, they're going to get their home insured, and they probably should have some type of financial plan in place in order to go back to being able to maintain that home. So that's a great business that I came across out of in Las Vegas, Nevada, DWJ Holdings. And again, they focus on real estate, buying and selling, insurance, personal and property and casualty, and then financial services. So that's your financial planning and investments. And the clients that I've met with, they've had a wonderful time with that organization, because they take a holistic approach, and they can really see that they are about caring for the entire plan, not necessarily just say, selling me a house or helping my house get sold, and then I'm kind of, got to go out and find the next person to help me with the other two pieces. So great company based out of Las Vegas, Nevada, DWJ Holdings.
Sounds like a great combination of services they're offering.
I think we'll go visit them. We'll take the Entrepreneur Exchange on the road next time.
Cool. Las Vegas.
Yeah. Cool. Gary, what's your small business of the month?
Well, we teased that earlier. I thought I'd give a shout out to our entrepreneurship teams that just came back from Skills USA. As you said, they did very well. Our high school team, which is made up of 15 and 16-year-olds, came up with Farm to Home, a business dealing with fresh vegetables and food, delivering it to people's homes, similar in concept to Blue Apron. And they finished 8th in the country in a very competitive market out there at the Nationals.
And this is after they won the North Carolina State Championship.
Both their teams won the North Carolina State. That was how they qualified to go to Nationals. Thank you for saying that. And then our college team, made up of 3 young ladies, they called their business The Attic, which is vintage clothing, and then doing upcycling to give it its own creative feel. And, of course, you were the advisor for both of these teams, and happy to say the high school finished 8th, and the college young ladies finished 2nd in the country. We're very, very proud of them.
Yeah.
Wow. So, that's amazing.
Yes, we're really excited, and we've had a good tradition with our entrepreneurship teams from high school and college doing well at Skills USA, and these teams continued that trend.
Well, they both deserve credit and recognition. They work very hard, so glad to give them a shout out.
Yes, absolutely.
So my small business of the month, it actually came from another one of our listeners, and this one is actually from a gentleman whose first name is Andrew, and he's actually in the Bahamas, in the Abacos Islands. I think I said that right. And he gave a shout out to a brand new company that started, and I believe his daughter is actually one of the founders of it, so he's rightly very proud. But it's a company called Coco and Kinney, and it's based in London, and they just opened an online jewelry store where they've been going out and designing, working with manufacturers to come up with their own line of jewelry. And it's the founders of Coco and Kinney are 2 young ladies that are in their 20s who became close friends while working for a London jewelry company, and they learned the mechanics of running a business specializing in jewelry and design. One of the young ladies spent time in Paris working on design and fashion. The other, Emma, was a model for 6 years in London and immersed in fashion, and now devotes herself full-time to designing jewelry. And they really focus on filling a gap between products that are modern, stylish, and wearable. I went and looked around their website, and they do everything from rings to earrings to necklaces. So the name of the business is Coco and Kinney. And Gary, because you and I are relatively frugal, which is a nice way of saying cheap.
That would be me.
The pricing, it looks very affordable. So those of us that want to provide our spouses with nice jewelry but don't want to have to apply for a second mortgage, you should
go to Marcus's
Also,
company.
You should check out Coco and Kinney at www.coco, COCO, and A-N-D, Kinney, KINNEY.com. And you can check them out. And we hope that they'll get the Entrepreneur Exchange bump and be overwhelmed with sales activity. So anyway.
Exciting. Very good.
So, Marcus, we want to thank you again. If people want to find you or your company, where can they find you?
So I appreciate you all for having me on. I hope that the information I shared was, directive in the marketing aspect, as well as some key takeaways just for life and entrepreneurship. To stay connected with me, we post new content all the time from the professional and personal development aspect. So just go to marcusboles.com. That's MARCUS, Boles, B as in boy, OLES.com, and it takes about 15 seconds. All you have to do is just hit the subscribe button on my personal website, and you'll be connected to our digital education. We post about 2 to 3 new things every week, and if you want to get directly to our YouTube channel, just youtube.com/Marcus Boles, and that's how to stay connected with me personally. To learn more about the businesses and the things that we're doing in the Customized Minds organization, just simply go to our website. So that's CUSTOMIZED, Minds, MINDS.com, and you'll be able to find information on all of our businesses, Customized Shopping, CM Investments that does the business development, and our digital education, which is Customized Speaking. So I look forward to, chatting with you. I'm very active on email. I do my best to reply and engage with all of our customers and followers and listeners and viewers. So I look forward to, again, interacting with everyone who follows us.
Well, that sounds good. Well, we appreciate you joining us today and sharing your experience. And we also want to thank the Mesh Network for hosting us today. And if you've got an idea for a small business of the month, you can send us an email at exchange@themesh.tv. And if we use your business, you'll get one of our prize packs, as Andrew will, if I can figure out how to ship things to the Bahamas. And
maybe I can hand deliver it.
There you go. That's even a better idea. Anyway, so we appreciate you listening, and we'll look forward to talking to you again next time.
Take care.
You've been listening to The Mesh, an online media network of shows and programs ranging from business to arts, sports to entertainment, music to community. All programs are available on the website as well as through iTunes and YouTube. Check us out online at themesh.tv. Discover other network shows and give us feedback on what you just heard.